can you hide me from my father? The tiny voice sliced through the roar of motorcycle engines like a razor. 12 members of the Iron Hounds Motorcycle Club turned to see a 6-year-old girl standing in their garage, clutching a faded blue backpack that was nearly as big as she was. It was 2 a.m., the garage was in the middle of nowhere, and this little girl had somehow slipped through their security to get here. Breaker, the club president with a face etched by scars, slowly approached. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily." Lily Navarro, her voice shook, but she held her ground. "My father is coming to get me. And I don't want to go." "Where's your mommy?" asked Grizz, the club's hulking enforcer. "Mommy's sleeping in heaven with the stars." "My father said so," Lily's eyes welled with tears. "But I think my father made her go to sleep. She had red stuff on her hair before she went to heaven." The bikers exchanged heavy looks. Every man in that garage had witnessed enough violence to know what "red stuff on her hair" meant. "Lily, how did you find us?" Breaker knelt to her level. "I followed the highway's broken white line for what felt like forever. Mommy showed me the way once when we drove past. She said if anything really, really bad happened, I should find the scary-looking men who fight monsters." She opened her backpack. "I brought crackers for the journey and Mommy's phone." She paused, her small hands trembling. "And something else." What she pulled out made every biker in that garage go cold. A kitchen knife, its blade crusted with dried blood. "My father was hurting Mommy with this, so I took it. Mommy said if anything bad happened, I should take the evidence." Lily looked up with wide, innocent eyes. "Is this evidence?" Before anyone could form a reply, Lily pulled out something else. A small digital camera and then a tiny flash drive on a glittery unicorn keychain. "Mommy taught me to take pictures when my father got mean. She said the police wouldn't believe a little girl and a sad lady without lots and lots of proof, because my father was so good at pretending to be nice." Lily's tiny fingers fumbled with the camera's buttons. "And she said this little computer thing was super important. She hid it in my backpack and told me if anything ever happened to her, I had to give it to the police." The first photo showed a woman with a swollen, bruised eye. The second showed dark purple bruises gripping her arms. The third, the bikers had to turn away. There were 47 photos in total, a gallery of cruelty dating back months, each one more horrific than the last. "Where is your father now, Lily?" Breaker's voice was deadly quiet. "He went to meet his work friends, the scary men with the fast cars and the guns." Lily hugged her backpack tighter. "He said when he comes back, we're going on a long trip where nobody will ever find us, but I don't want to go. He scares me. And he made Mommy go to sleep forever." That's when they heard it. The sound of multiple car engines in the distance, growing closer. Headlights swept across the garage entrance. Not one car. 3. "That's my father's friends," Lily whispered, pure terror lacing her voice. She scrambled behind Breaker. "Please don't let them take me." Lily's father stumbled out of the lead car, drunk, enraged, and holding a pistol. But he wasn't alone. 2 other men emerged, their movements cold, professional, and dangerous. "Cartel. Lily, get out here right now," he screamed. "You took something that doesn't belong to you." The bikers fanned out, creating a wall of leather and steel. 12 hardened men against 3 armed ones. But there was a child caught in the middle. "She has the books," Lily's father yelled to his associates. "The little brat has the flash drive." "Sir, you need to calm down," Breaker called out, his voice a low growl. "Don't you tell me what to do. Everything is on that drive. Our entire operation. Names, dates, money transfers. If the cops get it." One of the cartel men raised his weapon. "We don't leave witnesses." "Daddy, I don't want to go with you," Lily's voice, barely a whisper, came from behind Breaker. "You little brat. You don't understand what you've done. Give me that drive or we're all dead." That's when Lily did something that stunned everyone. She stepped out from behind Breaker, all 4 feet of her, facing down 3 men with guns. "You hurt my mommy," she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "You made her go to sleep forever. And now the police are going to know about all the bad things you do to other people." Her father's face contorted with rage. "You cost us everything. I should have dealt with you the same night I dealt with your mother." He never finished the sentence. What happened next lasted exactly 90 seconds. When it was over, all 3 men were zip-tied and unconscious on the gravel. The bikers had moved like a coordinated military unit. Lily just walked over to the unconscious men and pointed a small, steady finger at the gun her father had dropped. "This goes to the police, too," she whispered, her voice as solid as steel. "More proof." "Is it over?" she asked, looking up at Breaker. "Are the bad men going to jail forever and ever?" Breaker picked up the digital camera and the flash drive. 47 photos of brutal domestic violence, a murder weapon with fingerprints, evidence of a cartel money laundering operation, and 12 bikers as witnesses to attempted child abduction with firearms. "Yeah, sweetheart," he said softly. "It's over." But it wasn't. The police arrived 20 minutes later. Lily's father and his associates were charged with first-degree murder, child endangerment, attempted kidnapping, and running a criminal enterprise. The flash drive contained 3 years of cartel financial records. But Lily had nowhere to go. "She has a great-aunt in Oregon," the social worker said, "but it'll take time to arrange the custody transfer. And with the cartel connections, she might not be safe there anyway." "She's staying with us," Breaker announced. The social worker, Helen Foster, a stern woman in her 50s who had seen every trick in the book, looked at the leather-clad bikers surrounding a little girl like protective wolves. "You're the president of an outlaw motorcycle club with multiple felony convictions. The state will never approve you as a guardian." "Then the state's got a problem," Breaker replied. "Because she chose us. And we're not giving her up." What followed was the most unlikely custody battle in the state's history. Helen Foster became Lily's temporary guardian, but Lily refused to leave the clubhouse. For 3 weeks, she slept in the meeting room, attended to by 12 former criminals who had no idea how to care for a traumatized child. The first crisis came on day 4. Lily had been unusually quiet all morning, barely touching the cereal they'd bought for her. Twitch found her in the garage, sitting next to his Harley, silent tears streaming down her face. "What's wrong, little bird?" Twitch knelt beside her. "I miss my mommy," Lily whispered. "And I'm scared the bad dreams are going to come back." Twitch looked around helplessly. These weren't problems you could solve with fists or intimidation. Then he remembered something his own grandmother used to do when he was a scared kid. "You know, when I was about your age, my granny taught me something special. She said when you miss someone who's gone to heaven, you got to talk to them out loud so they can hear you from all the way up there." Lily looked up at him with red-rimmed eyes. "Really? Really?" "And she said the best place to do it is somewhere that makes you feel safe, like right here with all your uncles around," which gestured to the other bikers who had quietly gathered around them. "Want to try?" Lily nodded. In a voice barely above a whisper, she began. "Hi, Mommy. I'm okay now. The scary men took care of the bad man, just like you said they would. And they're teaching me how to be brave, like you were." There wasn't a dry eye in that garage. The first night, Lily woke up screaming from nightmares about her father. Grizz, a mountain of a man whose knuckles were scarred from 100 fights, was the first one to reach her. The sight of this terrifying enforcer awkwardly trying to comfort a crying 6-year-old would have been comical if it wasn't so heartbreaking. "Hey, little bird," he said, his voice gentler than anyone had ever heard it. "You're safe now. The monsters can't get you here. But what if they come back?" Lily sobbed. Grizz looked around desperately, then sat down heavily on the small bed. "Well, see, here's the thing about monsters. They're real scared of bigger monsters. And sweetheart, we're the biggest monsters in this whole state. So they ain't coming near you. Ever again. Lily stopped crying and looked up at him with wide eyes. Promise? I promise. And you know what? If you get scared again, you just call for Uncle Grizz, and I'll come running. Even if I'm sleeping, even if I'm in the shower, even if I'm in the middle of fixing my bike. You call, and I come. That's what family does. That moment changed everything. Not just for Lily, but for every man in that clubhouse. But the real test came 2 weeks later when Lily got sick with a fever. 12 hardened criminals became frantic nursemaids overnight. Should we take her to the hospital? Brick asked, pacing nervously. It's just a fever, Patch said, but his voice was uncertain. I think. You think? Breaker's voice was deadly. That's not an answer. They took turns staying awake all night, checking her temperature every hour. Grizz sat by her bed, reading children's books in his gravelly voice. Twitch brought her ice chips. Reaper, whose real name was actually Daniel, sang lullabies he remembered from his own childhood. When Lily's fever broke the next morning, she found all 12 bikers asleep in chairs around her bed, surrounded by empty coffee cups and bottles of children's medicine. You all stayed with me, she asked softly. Breaker opened his eyes. Of course we did, sweetheart. That's what daddies and uncles do. Helen Foster watched this transformation with a professional skepticism that slowly turned to amazement. These criminals were learning to braid hair, help with homework, and handle bedtime stories. They child-proofed their clubhouse, stocked juice boxes next to beer, and learned that Disney movies could be just as engaging as action flicks. The clubhouse itself transformed. What used to be a place for planning illegal activities became a home. Lily's drawings covered the walls where wanted posters used to hang. Her small bed sat in the corner of the meeting room, surrounded by 12 sleeping bags, because the uncles took turns keeping watch every night. But Helen Foster wasn't convinced. 3 months in, she scheduled a surprise visit, trying to catch them unprepared. She arrived one Tuesday afternoon to find the entire club helping Lily with a school project about families. What makes a family special? Lily was asking, reading from her homework sheet. Protection, said Grizz immediately. Love, added Twitch, surprising everyone. Being there when someone needs you, Brick contributed. Teaching right from wrong, said Reaper. Lily wrote down each answer carefully. What about you, Daddy Breaker? Breaker looked around at his brothers, then at Lily. A family is when a bunch of broken people decide they're stronger together. And they'll do anything to keep each other safe. Helen Foster felt her professional skepticism crack a little more. But the legal system wasn't impressed. Your Honor, the state's attorney argued in family court 6 weeks later, these men are dangerous criminals. They solve problems with violence. This child needs stability and proper role models. Your Honor, Breaker's court-appointed lawyer countered, these men risked their lives to save this child. They've provided her with more love and security in these past months than she had known in her entire life. The judge, a stern woman named Evelyn Reed, looked down at Lily, who sat between Breaker and Grizz in the front row. Lily, do you understand what's happening here today? Lily stood up. Yes, ma'am. Some people think my new family is too scary to take care of me. But they don't understand that sometimes the scariest looking people have the biggest hearts. And you want to stay with Breaker? He's my daddy now, Lily said simply. And all the uncles protect me. They keep the monsters away. Judge Reed studied the case file. Character references from teachers, doctors, even the sheriff. Lily's grades had improved. Her nightmares had decreased. She was thriving. But what sealed the decision was Lily's final statement. Your Honor, I started a club at the clubhouse. It's called the Sparrow Pack. It's for kids like me who've seen bad things. We meet every Saturday, and I teach them what my mommy taught me. How to be brave, how to take pictures when grown-ups are mean, and how to find safe people who will protect you. Judge Reed looked at Helen Foster. What's your recommendation? Helen Foster, who had spent her career placing children in traditional homes, took a deep breath. Your Honor, in 30 years of social work, I have never seen a child heal as completely as Lily has in the past 3 months. These men have created something I didn't think was possible, a stable, loving home that also acknowledges the reality of the dangerous world we live in. Lily doesn't just feel safe, she feels empowered. My recommendation is to grant permanent custody to Breaker. The gavel came down. Custody granted. The courtroom erupted. 12 bikers cheered like their team had won the Super Bowl. Lily launched herself into Breaker's arms, calling him Daddy for the first time in court. Helen Foster wiped away a tear she didn't know she was crying. That night, the Iron Hounds threw the biggest party in their history. Not because they'd beaten the system, but because they'd become something better than they ever thought possible. Lily kept her blue backpack, but now it contained different things: coloring books, crayons, emergency contact cards for scared children, and a disposable camera for kids who needed to document abuse. She carried it to school every day, ready to help any child who needed what she'd needed that night she walked into their garage. A year later, the Sparrow Pack had grown to 32 children. The Iron Hounds found themselves running background checks on deadbeat dads, teaching self-defense classes, and becoming the unofficial child protection service for 3 counties. The local police started calling them for domestic violence cases where traditional methods had failed. They had a 100% success rate. Lily is 10 now. She still wants to be a police officer when she grows up. She still calls Breaker Daddy and has 11 uncles who would die for her. And every year, on the anniversary of the night she walked into their garage, they celebrate not what they did for her, but what she did for them. Because Lily taught them that the most broken people can become the best protectors, that family isn't about blood or clean records, and that sometimes, the most dangerous men make the gentlest fathers. The flash drive that saved Lily's life sits in an FBI evidence locker. The photos that documented her mother's abuse helped convict a cartel cell. And Lily's blue backpack goes everywhere she does. Because some battles require preparation, some journeys need snacks, and some little girls carry the courage to change the world.